Hey guys, want to see something crazy? What's the median income in Texas?
36,538 United States dollars.
What's the median income for California?
39,812 United States dollars.
What's the median income for Kentucky?
32,270
What's the median income for Colorado?
44,196 United States dollars.
What's the median income for Nevada?
36,671 United States dollars.
What's the median income for Florida?
34,062 United States dollars.
Is anybody out there actually living comfortably? Well, it's just going to get worse from here, apparently, because the Fed doesn't think that you're broke enough. Yesterday, Jerome Powell came out and said that even though, as of May, the unemployment rate has risen to 4%, what you see now is the unemployment rate moving back up towards a more suitable level. You see wage increases moving back towards sustainable levels, said the chairman of the Fed. According to Jerome Powell, 4% is still a very low level of unemployment. What's 4% of 360 million?
The answer is 14,400,000.
If the unemployment rate is 4%, then that means there's more than 14 million Americans that just don't have a job. And that doesn't even include all the people on welfare and that are retired, obviously. There's about 360 million people in the US, and a whole bunch more people are about to get laid off. Is the government going to stop spending money, though, so that the cost of living can actually come down and inflation can subside? Of course not. That's basically why most people think cryptocurrency is their only opportunity to escape financial slavery and to actually maybe be able to afford a house one day. But right now, at the time of recording, unfortunately, Bitcoin is just under $60,000, which means that it is very much in a danger zone. If we don't find some support here and we continue to break down below the 200-day moving average, which is just below us right now, then unfortunately we might be going to make that lower low that I said I was scared about in my last video, because we didn't continue to accelerate to the upside and we have not made a higher high yet. It's not too late though. Hopefully Bitcoin can bounce before it breaks below this 200-day moving average, and if that is the case, then maybe this bullish divergence is going to play out and this hammer candle will send us to the upside here that showed up on the weekly chart in the last weekly candle. It looks like this might be our last hope though, because unfortunately the production cost or the electrical cost for Bitcoin is down around $47,000 or so, so we could have more downward pressure in the markets over the next couple of months of the summer before hopefully finding a floor and bouncing back during the heat of the election. Right now, it just seems like there's a whole bunch of insecurity and uncertainty over whether the Mt. GOX situation is going to dump a bunch of Bitcoin onto the market and crash the price. Also, with Biden getting ready to maybe even drop out, people really don't even know what to expect going into the election. According to this article on Quartz, the defunct crypto exchange from 2014, Mt. GOX, is about to return $9 billion worth of Bitcoin. That's 140,000 Bitcoin that's going to go back to investors, and with them being up significantly, thousands of percent even since they lost their assets, this would represent a really great opportunity for a lot of people to improve their lifestyles. Not only that, but if all of this Bitcoin does get sold, then $9 billion is going to be a lot of selling pressure that's going to be really hard to overcome, and it definitely could send us down over the next couple of months. Not all hope is lost though, because according to this article on CoinDesk, it looks like the Mt. Gox bankruptcy repayments are unlikely to destabilize Bitcoin. According to the article, the rehabilitation plan gives creditors several options on how they are to be repaid and the timing of any repayment. The most important are whether to take an early lump sum or wait for more proceedings and further asset recoveries, and whether to receive the funds in fiat or crypto. This article came out on March 1st of 2023, and we have been expecting these Mt. Gox repayments to come to fruition for some time now. I think the deadline is in October sometime, so maybe they'll stagger the repayments, and maybe all of the Bitcoin won't actually flood into the market all at one time. Also, a few months ago, they did actually offer an early lump sum option, with fiat repayments suggesting that the exchange would have to sell Bitcoin to raise the requisite cash. 850,000 Bitcoins went missing from the exchange in 2024, but that's not the amount that is potentially being disposed of, because the exchange has recovered only 142,000 Bitcoin, along with the 143,000 Bitcoin cash and 69 billion Japanese yen, or about $510 million. This represents only about 20% of the hack, but as I said, the price of Bitcoin has gone up several thousand percent, So basically, even though they're only getting 20% of the hack back in Bitcoin numbers, the dollar denominations is going to be very much bigger, and this is going to possibly represent a lot of selling pressure. It says the potential for the repayments to influence the price does exist. That amount of Bitcoin represents around 90% of the average supply active within the last day, this obviously back in March of 2023, and 28% in the last week. That's significant because the active supply increases are normally associated with weakness in the Bitcoin price, the note said. But in reality, much less will come to the market as many early adopters are probably still crypto believers. Recent reports say that two of the largest creditors, with a combined share of claims of 20%, have opted for the crypto payout, the bank said. A lot of this could be because people were expecting the price to continue soaring over the next year or so, and with it being more than a year later, we did see some increases in the price, but over the past few months, things have definitely been cooling off. This could definitely make it to where people are more willing to sell whenever they actually do get those repayments, because right now there is some fear that the prices are obviously going to continue to sell off. Not to mention, there's probably a lot of people that didn't even get the memo that they could cash out early with that lump sum payment, and whenever they actually see these Bitcoins arrive in their accounts, they're probably going to be pretty shocked and take that opportunity to do some selling. Hopefully, though, there are going to be a significant number of holders that actually still do believe in cryptocurrency and believe that it is going to reach mainstream adoption and continue to the upside from here. But I don't just want to pump you guys full of hopium because, like I said, $9 billion is a lot of selling pressure, and even though we're not probably going to be seeing all $9 billion going onto the market, even if just half of that gets sold, it is going to be something significant that's going to be hard to overcome. Going back to the news about Jerome Powell, he says that the US inflation is cooling again, though it isn't yet time to cut rates. Earlier this year, we did see inflation readings coming in a little bit higher than expected, but since then they've been cooling off quite a bit, and Jerome Powell still thinks that we have some work to do before they can actually start lowering interest rates. Hopefully, it's still going to be coming up in September, and with the unemployment rate now being at 4% and rising, hopefully there's going to be that second mandate coming into effect, and the Federal Reserve is going to have to lower those interest rates because whenever we start to see unemployment ticking up, usually that's just the beginning of even more layoffs that are to come down the pipeline. And hopefully everybody remembers the Fed's narrative about long and variable lags. These long and variable lags are still working their way through the system, and now that we're starting to see inflation coming down and unemployment going up, I think that if the Fed does continue to hold interest rates at the same levels that they've been at over the past few months, then we're going to be seeing some kind of economic crisis that's going to force them to do more drastic cuts than they're planning at this time. Unfortunately, though, the Fed does usually wait too long until the crisis actually hits, and with the market currently expecting our very first rate cut to come in September, with the rate cut being about 25 basis points, this could actually be the case, but whenever interest rates do head lower, usually that's an indication of an economic crisis coming and more drastic decisions having to come out of the Fed. Today we did get the FOMC meeting minutes, and they basically said what Jerome Powell said in his speech yesterday, which is that he's going to have to continue with the rate pause to see more evidence that inflation is coming down. But we also got initial jobless claims coming in higher than expected, with 238,000 as opposed to the forecast of 234,000, and last month's initial jobless claims of 234,000, which means that not only is inflation coming down, but also unemployment is accelerating. This means that we are inching our way towards a breaking point, and as these economic data points continue to come in, I think we're going to continue accelerating towards that breaking point, and eventually it's going to hit. And even if inflation isn't back down to 2% at that time, I think the Fed is going to have to do something. The question is, how far down is Bitcoin going to go before the Fed has to step in and do something? And how far is the economic system going to continue to spiral out of control before the government finally starts putting the actual news in the data points? And when is the government actually going to do something to try to help actual Americans with their cost of living? If history is any indication, then they're going to wait until the economy absolutely hits the wall and is destroyed, and then they're going to have to print trillions of more dollars and pump it into the system, which is going to devalue the dollar and send hard assets like Bitcoin skyrocketing. So for that reason, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin, and even if it does break down below this $60,000, I'm probably going to take that opportunity to load up on some more Bitcoin because, as I said in the beginning of this video, it really might be one of our only hopes to maybe escape this financial slavery and actually be able to buy a house one day. But I'm still going to be keeping my eye on this Bitcoin production cost because, like I said, it is down around $47,000. And if we break down below that support of around $60,000, I think either the electrical cost is going to come up to meet the price or the price is going to come down to meet the production cost before finding a floor and going back to the upside. So the closer we get to this electrical cost, the more of a buying opportunity I think it is. But in the meantime, we do have a lot of uncertainty, so there is some caution that we all have to be wary of. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is the Bitcoin price going to find this support at $60,000, or are we going to be headed down to that production cost, ultimately signaling the best buying opportunity before the Fed has to inject liquidity again and assets like Bitcoin continue skyrocketing to the moon? Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if I brought you value. But most importantly, don't forget to do only good every day. Also, happy 4th of July for tomorrow, guys, because I might not make a video. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.